And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
I'm not a huge sports fan, but I do like sports board games, go figure. Except the fact that there's so few of them, other than racing, that really are any good without going into a level of simulation. Well, let's get this out of the way. Basketboss is really not about basketball. It's more about drafting a basketball team. However, I like that theme. I like how this game works. This is an auction game, one that I usually don't seem to promote auction games much anymore. But this is one that I get a big kick out of. I think it's one of the neatest games I found in 2009. Each player takes a team card, and they're basically all the same with some variation amongst the colors. And each team has its funny name. Here's the Moscow Mammoths, and a spot to put trophies on the side. But the most important part is the players that you have on your team already. Now, the players you have in your team are pretty bad, but it's a good way to start the game. And so in each season, at the end of the season, we're going to be comparing how strong your basketball team is. So you can see here season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 on the side of the board here. And to count the strength of your team over the course of a season, you count the number of basketballs. So here in season 1, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 basketballs, plus the number of different colors. So there's 5 different colors, so my strength is a 10. Now, as the season goes by, I'm going to obviously want to get better basketball players. For example, you can see that guy. Look at him. He's worth 3 basketballs in the first season, then 4, 5, 4, 3, 2. And as season goes by, these things, you move the marker down to show that the seasons have gone by. And sometimes someone's good for a season or two when you add them to the board. And sometimes you're going to add a color to the board that you may not have added normally. Say, for example, I put this blue one here. Yes, now I only have 4 colors, but look how great my season 3 is. 5, 10, 15, 20, 21 plus 4 colors. My strength is now 25. At the end of each season, the person who is in first place, basically who has the highest strength of their team, is going to get the gold place trophy, or maybe silver trophy, or the copper trophy, or the I'm glad I played trophy, or maybe no trophy at all. Now, how is all this done? This board is placed in the middle of the table each season, and it's used for several things. For one, you'll see the new basketball players as they come onto the board, and these will be the people that you auction off over the course of each round. And the auction is a very straightforward auction. You simply bid, and the last person to stay in has to pay the money, and they get whatever player you were bidding for at that point in time. But all around the outside of the board, we have markers. These are not for points, but they're basically to show how strong your team is. Now, if there's a tie, and there occasionally is a tie, then whichever player has the tallest person, here you can see this guy is 1.97 meters. Whoever has the tallest person on their team wins a tie. So you will take that into account when you take a player. In fact, there's 4 things you take into account. 1, how well they do each season. This guy is 4 every season, a great player. Then you take his height into account. That only matters in a tiebreaker, but it might matter. His color matters too. This is a purple color. But also, if you notice here in the corner, there's no marker, while on this gentleman, there is a marker. You get money each turn for each of your players. And so this guy, while he's a good player, gives no money. He's kind of a boring player to watch. This guy gives $1 per turn. And some people, like the wonderful Laura Jackson, she's a flashy player, not very good, but she'll give you $2 every turn. So you'll take that into account as you take these people. Also, between each turn, players have a chance to take one of these special characters on the board. You can take the referee. He gives an extra point to your team in strength, and if there's a tie, you win. Obviously, not a very standard referee, probably a little bit dirty. Or you can take this marker, which will give you 50% of all the money you save. Or this guy, he will train your team, which allows you to push them up a level on your teaming tray. And then finally, there's this gentleman who allows you to bid the same amount that someone else bids, keeping you in the bidding, and then you pay $1 less. All 4 of these guys are very useful, but if you don't get any of them, you also have the opportunity to take a medal, which is worth 1 point at the end of the game. And it's also one of the smallest pieces ever. I live in constant fear of losing them. There's a few other features to the game, like, for example, the injured player. When he comes up, everyone bids on him, and the first person to drop out takes him, but everyone else has to pay their bid, and the injured player basically just knocks out one of your players for one season. After 6 seasons have been played, players count up their trophies. Each trophy is worth a certain amount of points according to this chart down here on the board. Depending on how many players are in the game, the person with the most points is the winner. I've always found the idea of drafting players an interesting one anyway. And so a game that's about auctioning, and it might have been about auctioning goods in the Mediterranean, which would have been really boring, is made much more interesting by doing basketball players. The game is simple enough, it has variety in the different colors, there's strategy in who you pick, beating other people in the auctions, and it plays very quickly. Usually in about 40 minutes a game takes place. Has nice components, the theme fits well, and while some people might be disappointed but that the game's not actually about playing basketball, I think it's good enough theme to draw people into the game anyway. It's a good auction game with some neat variations. Nothing groundbreaking here perhaps, except for the sliding dials, which I think is pretty neat. But other than that, I think it fits the theme well, and while it's not the best basketball game I've ever played, well actually, it is. What do you know?
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.